I'm Arthur Moats, and I'm here to tell you about my new book, The Moats Theory of Life. If you haven't picked up a copy yet, I strongly encourage you to. This book not only is a fun read, but it's a guide to helping you become a person of impact and inspiration. If you are ready to take the next step to improving not only your life, but those around you as well, go get a copy of The Moats Theory of Life, and it's available at moatstheory.com. What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
What's up, bro?
What is good? How you feeling, man?
Dude, the real question is, how are you doing? Celebrate the birthday yesterday.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is, I still got it. So, you know how I do on the weekends typically, right? I say I like my me time, right? Don't call me, don't text me. It's a short list of people that I will answer the phone for over the weekends. This weekend it was highlighted even more because it was the birthday, right? And I actually didn't have to do anything. It was like the first weekend in a while where it was actually free. Because obviously I'm coaching my oldest daughter's basketball team, right? So usually we have games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But this week it timed up perfectly where we didn't have a game this weekend. I said, okay. I got that element down. I said, I'm already not even looking at this phone right now. We're not even going to think about that because I know it's going to go crazy. So I'm like, all right, well, we're good to go. And then when I get to, to start celebrating the birthday extravaganza and all the activities, we get to the gift giving part. That's my favorite part. I love gift giving. More importantly, I love to receive my gifts. I don't care if I'm 33. I treat every birthday like I'm a 6-year-old at his own party. I need the gifts. So we get to opening the gifts and man, wifey and the kids did their thing. But more importantly, they had a unique item that was not on the list. Casamigos. Wait a minute. You know how, now, I love my tequila. Anybody that's been out with me, they know I'm a tequila first guy. And when wifey had the Casamigos, it just took the party. It took the whole weekend plan and just took it to a whole nother level. So yes, it was thoroughly good, but I was making sure I was adult hydrating, with the Casamigos, mix it with the vitamins. And before I knew it, it was a great situation. It was, but I recovered. I'm here. It's morning time. I'm good to go. So with that being said, I still got the juice, man. I can still burn it on both ends of the candle.
I think you broke the internet with some of your pictures yesterday. The road, we saw the presents, man. You were living it up.
Hey, so
I was like, man, I don't celebrate birthdays like this. No one really cares about my birthday like that.
I told myself, I said, look, birthdays are important. Birthdays are important because especially in today's day and age where it's not a guarantee you're going to make it another 365 days. We've seen various people check out for various reasons, right? So I said, man, the fact that I'm turning 33, I'm going to make sure that I do it up right. And yes, I said, I am technically like an influencer, technically a YouTuber. And this is what YouTubers do. I went to the council, I talked with my kids. I said, hey, what do YouTubers do on their birthday? They said, you got to get balloons, you got to take pictures, and you got to have like action photos. So as you can see, the last one was like, I'm Kobe Bryant a little bit. I had the bottles in my hand. Mm-hmm. You see the distress, like, yeah. I with it. But you saw that look of like, I accomplished what I was reaching for, So that was everything that went into it. But it was a fun time, man. I really enjoyed it. And not only did I enjoy that element of my birthday, I actually got some good sports that happened this weekend too, man. I got a chance to see the Pens take care of business against my old hockey team in terms of the Sabres, right? It was good to see them complete the 2-game sweep. And I had UFC action this weekend, man. It was dope. It was my type of weekend, baby. It was my type of weekend.
So we wanted to get into UFC first.
I
was trying to do some quick research before this recording. They didn't call it UFC 260. Was this a side event or something? Because the last one was 259.
So 250. So the way they number them, some of them, like the bigger ones, you get the UFC 259, the UFC 260, right? So the next big pay-per-view, which should be next weekend, it'll be the heavyweight fight, Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. That's going to be a crazy card as well. You thought the last card
Okay, so I got to be tuning in on this one.
Yes. This next one, man, it's going to be up there as well. They got some dogs on that card, man.
All right, I'll just text a bunch of my friends. One of them will order.
Yeah, but the fight this weekend, though, with with Leon Edwards versus, what was it? Should have been Belal Muhammad. Yeah, I was mixing up this weekend, the weekend before. But yeah, versus Belal Muhammad, it wasn't the big pay-per-view element of it. So that's why you didn't get the marquee name. In fact, this might have been a UFC fight night. If I can, let me see if I pull it up. Might have been just entitled a UFC fight night, Edwards versus Muhammad, because that's what they'll do for any of the like super stacked cards or when it's not a belt on the line. Yeah, UFC fight night, Edwards versus Muhammad. So that's how they worded it. But the big fight was just the main fight, right? You know how some cards, like we talked about a week ago, man, it didn't matter about the championship fight. You had the first one, like it's in the main event. Then you had the co-main. Then you had the championship fight that was leading up to the co-main. So it was so many other fights to really keep you, just locked in on this. Whereas this card right here, if you're not like a true UFC head, you weren't going to really dive into this card like that. But the main event, Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad, it was awesome in the sense of this was the first time we were seeing Leon Edwards back in the ring for almost 2 years. I mean, this dude has been right on the cusp of a title shot for a while now. But between injuries, between COVID, it's just he's had a string of bad luck, not on his side, on his opponent's side, where they just haven't been able to get to the ring against this guy. It's been crazy. But it was good to see him at least make it into the ring. And he did look good initially. He looked like we wanted him to look. He looked like a guy that's primed for a title fight in a division that isn't the most stacked right now, right? But he looked like a guy that was, ready to do some nice things. And then we get the accidental thumb poke to the eye and just ruin the whole event. It became deja vu, at least last week, right? With Aljamain and Petr Yan, we knew it was egregious. We knew that, man, this was a dirty, move and this and that. With this, it was literally Leon is doing what he does, striking, kicking, and then before you know it, he just like jabs, but his hand is open and then bop. And I knew it was over when I seen my man Belal go to the ground. He's like, oh, God, I can't see. I was like, oh, Lord. Because Belal's tough. This dude is tough. He's been in some situations where he's then got cracked and he still comes out like nothing's wrong. So to hear him scream, oh, God, I can't see, you're just like, oh, man.
Is there a percentage of flopping at all? Like 10% maybe?
So look. We thought, initially, I definitely thought flopping because in this situation, it would benefit Belal. Now, granted, it wasn't for a belt. So that was the unique element of it. But as a whole, it would definitely benefit Belal to be like, well, I didn't lose to Leon. It was a no contest. But when he actually rolled over and you could see his eyes starting to puff up, you could see where it was lacerated. You could see the blood coming out of it. It's just like, man, you can't, in that sport in particular, you cannot have a guy out there that can't see. That's the biggest reason why when there's swelling on a boxer's face, they're always trying to get it down, because if he can't see, the referee will have to stop it. Medically, they have to. I mean, anybody that's seen the old Rocky movies, the iconic line, cut me, Mick. My man couldn't see. You got to cut him open to get that swelling, let the blood drain out. But obviously that's frowned upon in this day and age, and rightfully so, because it's probably not the safest thing to do. I'm not a medical expert, but it doesn't sound like that's the good thing to do. So either way, I could totally understand why they, ruled it a no contest. And I was actually glad that Herb Dean did rule it a no contest and not a DQ like we saw a week ago.
Ah, interesting. So no one won. They're going to do a rematch?
So this is the unique part.
Was it that close, or was the dude that you were talking about just destroying him the whole time? So
this is the thing. It wasn't close in the sense of watching the fight. The first round was dominated by Leon, and we knew what was about to happen. Like, it was starting to trend in that direction. Leon had hurt him at the end of the first round, and we figured, like, all right, he's going to either submit him or put him out at some point in the second round. Problem is, it happened 18 seconds into the second round. So to say, was it close or not, is all a matter of perspective. Yeah. But the true fighters know, dude, Leon was in control. No different than the week prior where we talked about Petr Yan and Aljamain. It was like, even though it was a little bit closer on the card, Petr was starting to take control of the fight. But in both of these instances, since it got stopped, you just don't know, because in the fight business, anything can technically happen. But the reason why I'm not 100% certain that a rematch will happen is because for Leon, he feels like he's already long overdue for a title shot. And I do agree with that. I think that he's overdue as well. And for him going back to fight Belal again is not going to put him any closer to that title shot. He has to fight a guy like a Kobe Covington, right? One of these guys at the 170 that have already, competed for the belt but didn't win it or still don't have it, in that regard, and let him try to get one of those fights. But if that's not going to happen, man, if I'm Leon, I'm waiting until this title shot happens, because it's just a waste of time. The more opportunity, the more times you go in that ring and it's not for a belt, the closer it's going to be that that something bad is going to happen and you're not going to get that title shot to happen for you. Tony Ferguson, he's a guy that, so you remember Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? The beast that beat Conor, right? So he had a guy that was his counter, his rival, Tony Ferguson. They were parallel, right? In terms of both on 9-fight winning streaks, both on 12-fight winning streaks, right? Just doing what they're supposed to do. And every time they were about to fight, something happened. Khabib got sick one time. Ferguson got hurt one time. So you could just see, like, back and forth. It would always be something that would come up. So Khabib ends up bumping up, fighting for the belt. He wins it. Ferguson, he's still having to recover. So now he has to take another fight. And he ends up getting beat. And it ends up costing him not only this great title shot because we felt that he matched up the best with Khabib out of any of the other guys at that weight.
I seen him on that
Absolutely,
card.
yes,
I think he was the fight before the McGregor-Khabib card.
Yeah, Ferguson is good. He's very unorthodox, and he can fight off his back, which makes it so intriguing against a guy like Khabib, who loves to take guys to the ground because it's right in his wheelhouse. But because he got beat, it threw off the tracks. So now Khabib didn't have to see him, and we ended up missing out on it. And now Ferguson is probably never going to get that shot. I look at Leon in the same vein of, dude, you got to be careful here, because you take another one of these type of fights where the guy is kind of dangerous, because if you fight a trash can or a bum, it's not going to help you. You got to fight somebody of some type of substance, right? But the more times you hop in that ring with those type of guys, the more the risk is that you could get caught. And that's all it had. If you get caught once, it could just ruin everything for Leon. So that's why I'm not 100% certain that it will happen in terms of rematch. And me personally, I don't want it to happen.
Okay.
Because just understand everything that's transpired for Leon over these past 2 years and knowing what happened to Tony Ferguson as well. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it equals up. Like, Leon doesn't
not at
benefit
all
from it at all. It's not equal. Whereas the dude that got his eye poked out, he's probably begging for it.
Oh, absolutely.
The upside's all there for him.
Yeah.
But with Leon, it seems like there's only downside with this fight, from what you're saying.
It definitely is, man. It definitely is. Like, for Leon, the reason why he had to take this fight was, like I said, coming off of the 2-year layoff, right? And just being able to prove that, all right, there isn't any ring rust. I'm still the same Leon that we all knew I was. I still am long overdue for a title shot. And here you go. Let me display that. And he was doing it. He was doing exactly what was supposed to happen. And then the eye poke happened, and that derailed everything. If the eye poke never happens, honestly, he wins that fight probably within that second or third round. And now we're talking about him facing, the champ at 170. Like, that's what the conversation would be. But instead, this is what we have to deal with right now. Now we have to deal with the speculation of, well, should he go and fight this guy instead? Does he need another win under his belt to, justify going up to fight Kamaru Usman, who we know is a beast, So those are some of the things that are playing out with it. But it's going to be interesting, though.
Cool. Do you know off the top of your head what his ranking is?
Oh, yeah. So he's the third ranked welterweight behind Kamaru Usman, who's the champion at 170. And then you have Colby Covington and Gilbert Burns. Now, both of those guys, Gilbert Burns and Colby Covington, are coming off of losses, right? Usman cleaned them both out. I mean, Usman's a monster. He's literally wiped out half of this division. Wonderboy Thompson, Tyron Woodley, like a lot of those guys. And shout out to Tyron Woodley. He was the champ at 170 for a while. He's making his return this weekend on that same card that I was talking about with Stipe Miocic. So that's going to be an awesome card that you definitely want to check out, man. It's going to be good to see. But yeah, Leon, he's right in that mix. So you can see where the two guys that are ahead of him competed for the title. One was a former champion, term Colby Covington, but both of them have been beat since then. Leon has just been waiting in the wings. So if you're Leon, if I'm not fighting one of those two guys, I'm fighting Usman. But the reason
it sounds like even the other two are risky, though.
Well, and if I'm Leon, I'm not even fighting the other two, because I'm gonna say this: if I fight those two guys, who's Usman fighting? Because those are the top three contenders,
That's
right?
fair.
Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, and Leon Edwards. So I don't want to see Kamaru Usman fight the fourth ranked guy in terms of Jorge Masvidal. I don't want to see that. I want to see him fight against a legit top 2, top 3 guy. And you can make the case that Leon is in there in terms of potentially being a number 1 contender right now. Like, you can make that case for him. So that's why, for me, if you're Leon, you got to hold out for that title shot, man.
Sure. Interesting.
Yeah, but it's gonna Yeah, man, it's gonna be good, man. It's a fun time right now, man. I love my UFC because it's year round. It never takes a break, and that's the beauty of it. Never is an off season, man. But then let's see, what else do we have this weekend? I told you already, right? In terms of the hockey game, yes indeed, the Pens and the Sabres. And shout out to the Pens, man, doing what they do best, which is stack up wins. I mean, dude, they obviously they beat the Sabres 3-0. It wasn't as much of a blowout as we would like to, make it sound like on paper. We had the one goal early on by Gensel, and then we had 2 empty netters in the third. But as a whole, I was still impressed with the Pens' performance. I thought as a whole, they showed that they could compete and win a tight game like that, because for the majority of the game, it was just a 1-goal game. In that second period, the Sabres, they definitely had a little bit of momentum, getting some shots off and things like that. But, it was a certain goalie that was in that just so happened to get a shutout. When he got his first shutout of the year, his 5th shutout of his career. Mr. Casey DeSmith coming off of the 24 saves. Shout out. It's good to see my young guy, even in the midst of the goalie situation where Jari is playing out of his mind and getting the lion's share of opportunities. It's good to see that Casey is still, producing at a high level when he gets his number called. And I was very impressed by that. But as a whole, like I said, I just loved that performance by them because it was so different than what we had been seeing recently, right? Mm-hmm. With the game prior to that against the Sabres, because obviously they swept them in this 2-game series, they were a lot more in control and they scored a lot more early on, right? The game felt a lot different. And we talked about that. Whereas with this one, man, it could have went either way. It could have went either way for the majority of this game, but to see them be able to execute, to see them execute in the power play as well, I thought that was impressive, man.
Yeah, it felt like a lackluster game throughout. You're just waiting. Who's going to score? Who's going to break this thing open? Mm-hmm. And to your point, I think it's just good to get the win in that fashion, especially considering we've played so many games over these past couple weeks. We've won 5 in a row. Buffalo is a shitty team. That's an easy letdown game right there.
Oh, without a doubt.
Where you won the 4 previously. Buffalo's not that good. Now you got the Bruins coming up. Trap game, as we would usually like to say with the NFL, with the Steelers, whenever we played the Cowboys, whenever we played the Jaguars last year, that's what everyone was talking about. With how the game flow went in the first period, where it was kind of even. It was a little bit back and forth. Like I said, it was a little dull. That was an easy one to let up, but then for them to just pull it out, even though it ended up being 3-0, it felt more like a 1-0 victory because the last 2 were empty net. I'm good with it, man. Now we got the Bruins tonight.
Absolutely. And the Bruins, they're coming off of a nice little shellacking. They got beat by the Rangers. I think it was 4-0 the other night.
Are the Islanders really that good? Or are they just...
Oh, excuse me, the Islanders, yeah.
No. Well, I don't... Or are they that good? Because they're in first place, or are they just a facade?
Let me see. I don't know, man. This year has been wacky, honestly, man. Let me see.
Because everyone was talking about how the Bruins were head and shoulders above everyone the first few weeks.
They were supposed to be.
And their record indicated that, but now they've fallen off a little bit, and the Islanders have been pretty much on top since they beat the Bruins like a few weeks ago.
Trying to see. Let me pull up some more stuff on them real quick. Or not real quick, because it's taking forever. But either way, man, I don't know, man. This is one of those years, because when I look at the Islanders and the Rangers, right, both of these teams, we've talked about this with both of them as they've played the Pens. Sometimes they look like they're always in it with us, but they're never really winning these games. So to me, I don't know if they're just a good team that got hot at the right time against the Bruins, or if they're, just got lucky. Like, it's hard to tell, because we've seen how we've controlled both of those teams. Think about how every game we played with them, whether it's went to overtime or what, you look at our record against both of those in terms of the Rangers and the Islanders this year, our record is nice against them. But you watch it, it's a whole bunch of overtimes, a whole bunch of one-score games. So as it pertains to them versus the Bruins, I'm not really sure, honestly, man. I think it's just one of them things where it's a wacky year and anything is happening right now, man.
Yeah, because I'm assuming no one was really expecting the Islanders to be on top of this division right now. I don't know if they would be battling for the 4th spot with maybe the Flyers, but for them to be in first place, how they are, it's pretty crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. But it's all about runs, right? And right now you think about the Pens. They're in the middle of a run. They've been able to stack together good performance after good performance of lately. And they've hit their groove. You can even hear when the players are talking about it. I think Brian Dumoulin said it after the game. He was just like, man, we're just trending in the right direction right now. We're getting these performances. We're finding ways to win, both pretty and ugly, which I like to see. I always tell you, a good team can win both ways. Got to be able to win both ways. And that's what they're doing right now. So to me, man, I think it's very positive. Also, seeing Malkin continue his point streak, right? I think he's at 7 games now. This is his first time since 2018, dating back to November of 2018, where he's had another 7-game point streak right now. So it's good to see that he's become a lot more productive, a lot more involved. As the contrary to that early on in the year, we were talking about him struggling a lot more. It's been good to see him find his little groove right now as well.
And then obviously Kapanen, we talked about the one where he stalled it out a little bit, I think, on the last podcast. But I think there was one recently, I think it was the first Sabres game, where he had the wide open breakaway and then dropped the puck off behind him to Malkin. That was
beautiful, man.
That duo is pretty impressive.
It is, man. They found a nice little rapport between the two. And it's beautiful to see it just continue to evolve as well. So hopefully they keep it going, man. And I'm with it, man. Hopefully they keep it going. So it'll be good to see, though, man. Like I said, but the biggest thing is to see them take advantage of the power play. Now, obviously, you can view that how you want to view it, because we talked about our power play and how we struggled. Newsflash, the Sabres are a lot worse in the power play than we are. All right, so it's one of them things of, we can highlight it and speak about it positively, but we also have to take it in context as well. So we should get a better barometer of, the power play improvement, the goalie improvement, the defensive improvements going forward, especially tonight when they play against the Bruins, who we know is a top tier team right now.
Secretly, too, that first the first Sabres game was actually a little bit closer than that 5-2. I'd actually consider both those games against the Sabres a little bit closer than what the score indicated, because they hit like 5 or 6 off the post on us. I know our offense was really explosive, but let's not take away that the Sabres had some decent opportunities against us too.
They definitely did. And the thing that's crazy, you look at the Sabres from a goal play standpoint. I mean, what's his name? Carter Hutton, excuse me. He had 31 saves. That's a lot of saves, man. It's a lot. But you look at the score and it still reads 3-0, and you're like, whoa, how did that happen? And you're like, well, they got the first one, then they got 2 empty netters. And you can see like the Sabres, it's weird how they matched up against us. They were definitely in those games, like you said. They definitely were. But it was just, I don't know, we're finding ways to win.
Yeah, either way, it's just good to get the wins.
Absolutely. I felt like that first one, even though it was closer than what the score indicated, I never felt like it was in doubt. Even with them hitting the post and stuff like that, I just always felt like we were in control. Whereas this one, because it was just that we only scored 1, that's what made me nervous. The other one, it's like, man, we've already scored a couple, so we know we can score. But last night, it wasn't like that. Or excuse me, Saturday, it was more so, all right, can we score again? Are we going to get another goal in here somewhere, please? So that was why, to me, like I said, it was a little bit, I liked it a little bit more seeing it that second night than the first one.
Yeah. Good goaltending performance, and also a little bit better defensive performance.
Absolutely,
so those are good
man.
To see. Real quick question.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about this.
Yes.
They're called the Buffalo Sabres. Is the Buffalo literally just the logo for the Buffalo City?
That's it. Yeah. So like when you fly into Buffalo, right, and you're coming from the airport, the main they have like the thruway, right? It's like it's like 376 for us in Pittsburgh. When you're driving past that, like the big thing on the side of their road, it's like this statue of buffaloes. Like I remember we first come in there, and my folks, they're coming up, they're like, man, we've never been to Buffalo, New York. We've never even seen a buffalo. You know what I mean? We know what a bison is, but we've never seen that either. And you get there, you're like, hold on, is that real? Because it's life size, and it's just on the side of the road, like right where you're driving on the interstate. You're like, holy cow, this is really Buffalo. This is nuts. But that's their logo. I mean, you got the saber, who is essentially a buffalo. You got the Buffalo Bills. We know what the buffalo is. Then you even have their minor league baseball team, which are the Buffalo Bison. So you can see like they stick with that vibe. That's their mascot for the city. Like everything is going to be something with a buffalo. Buffalo, saber, brew, whatever the cousin.
Even saber, that's like a sword. Like you could see it in the logo, but the buffalo is the main logo.
Yes, it's the buffalo. Absolutely. Everything is buffalo. That's the logo. But then it's funny because when you're like, oh, well, are buffaloes here? It's like, no, only bison. But we're going to call Buff. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm with it, man.
I was curious about that because
man.
I was like, wait, this is the same logo as the Buffalo Bills. It feels like they're copying off them, but then I was maybe that's just the vibe up there, Buffalo.
We're just gonna change the red dash, the red light like laser beam from the Bills, and just put it as a sword, and then there you have it. All right, but I will say this, man, I did love watching both of those teams play and looking at those jerseys on Saturday. The Sabres blue, you had the old school. Obviously, we talked about, these are one of our favorites in terms of the pins with the script print going down and stuff like that. Like it was good. I just felt like I was watching legitimate hockey. When I see those type of uniforms, those type of sweaters out there, I'm like, I like this. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. Pens with those yellow ones too. When did they rock those? Was it against the Rangers? I think the yellow ones.
I
think
it was.
helmets.
Yeah,
those are badass too.
I love those ones, man. They're good. They are good. So, like I said, it was a good weekend. It was a good from a sports perspective standpoint, man. Like I said, we got our UFC in there. We got our NHL. But now it's time to, move on from the weekend and talk about what's happening right now, my friend. So, the new league year officially starts Wednesday, March 17th. I'm excited. I know you're excited, Deke, as well, especially since we got that quarterback signed back, baby. But this is the last go around before we start to see who's going to officially be signing where. Yeah. Now, throughout the day, obviously, by the time some people might hear this, we could potentially see some of these names be re-signed, or we could see them agreed upon in principle with other teams. The difference between agreeing upon in principle versus actually signing your contract is right now, this is the legal tampering period. It just started Monday. Today was it March 15th, right? And it'll last up until Wednesday, March 17th, when the new league year begins. So during that time frame, guys that are going to become free agents, your Juju Smith-Schusters, your Bud Duprees, those type of guys, you can negotiate with other teams right now and agree on deals, but you can't sign the deal until Wednesday. So that's why it kind of gets a little wacky, because you get some guys who will agree upon a deal, but then assign somewhere else later on. Think like, National Signing Day for high school athletes. Like you'll get that type of activity sometimes.
Jordan with the Mavs and then re-signing with the Clippers.
Absolutely. We all remember Emmanuel Sanders, what happened to him with the, I think it was Denver, and I forgot the other team that he had initially agreed upon.
Was it the Patriots?
It might have been.
I think the Patriots were interested in him.
Because he literally had a deal agreed upon elsewhere, and then at the last minute it was like, I'm going to Denver, and just did that whole thing. So you can definitely see like those type of things will start happening from today until Wednesday. But we felt like, man, it was only right to do our final recap of all of the Steelers' upcoming free agents and, final decision on them. Do we think they will be staying, or do we think they will be going on to greener pastures? So without further ado, we'll get this thing started. And why not start with the man, the myth, the legend, my dog, the one and only, Mr. Bud Dupree. What you got for me, D? Is he staying or is he going?
I don't think he's staying. I don't, unfortunately. We've talked about this. He should probably be the number one priority of all the Steelers that are in free agency right now. Now, if you want to talk about position, we talked about potentially Alvin Nueva, even though he's nowhere close to where Bud Dupree is at career-wise and just their ability. I just don't like the signs, dude.
Yeah.
There haven't been any restructurings. I don't know if we're going to be making a big deal at all. Although there has been some talks about us negotiating with Alvin Nueva. I don't know how much we're going to re-sign him for. I don't know if he's going to come back for a discount or not. It just doesn't seem like there's any rumors or anything pointing to Bud Dupree coming back right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And I've told you this numerous times when we spoke about his situation up here. If I'm giving him advice, I'm telling him, go get the money that you've earned. Go get the money that you deserve. You've already did the whole, bet on yourself. You did it twice. It worked out. Obviously, you almost crapped out at the end, though. So let's not take these chances anymore. Go get the money. If it works out where you're able to come back down the line, cool, come back. I mean, you're only 28 years old. We know edge rushers could play in this league for a long time. So that's what I'm telling him. And I personally don't think that he will be back because he's earned that money. He's earned the money. And he's going to get that out there, man. And he knows that the Steelers can't pay him to that standpoint. So it's one of them things, kind of like what we said a year ago with Javon Hargrave. Man, we hate to see you go, but we love the fact that you're going to be able to get paid the way that you're supposed to get paid. So that's kind of how I look at Bud Dupree, man.
Sure. And we talked about probably one of the only ways that he would come back is on some type of 1-year deal for like 10 or 12 million. But that doesn't even look feasible right now because nothing has happened. I was texting you yesterday. I'm like, Colbert's asleep at the wheel. What the hell's going on?
Dude, like it's been rumblings, little things of, oh, could this guy get re-signed? Is this guy about to get released? And you hear those things and it's like, all right, but I haven't seen it happen yet. So I'm like, I don't know how you're going to make X, Y, and Z work if we don't take care of X first. So we'll see, man. But they still have time. And I've told you from my personal experiences, we didn't get my deal done with the Steelers in terms of me re-signing until the day before I was about to catch my flight. Like, it wasn't, oh, okay, Wednesday starts the new league year where you can sign the deal. Let's talk on Monday. No. Monday, I had talked to teams. Tuesday, deal was done. Tuesday afternoon, it's like, come in before you fly out Wednesday morning. So you know that this is that time where something wacky could happen. Something crazy could go down in these next 24 to 48 hours as it pertains to Steelers personnel moves in-house. Because the way the Steelers do typically operate is with some of their bigger free agent names, right? They look at it as once those guys hit the market, they look at them as they're gone. They don't look at them as, okay, he's going to test it out and come back. Yeah, from my personal experience, that's how it was for me and for a couple of other guys that went through those same situations during that time frame, because they just feel like once it becomes a open bid like that.
This is on Wednesday.
Yeah. Once Wednesday hits, they just feel like teams are going to be able to throw way more money, and they don't want to personally be a pawn in terms of trying to go back and forth competing to run up your number, knowing that they're not going to be able to get you in the end. So typically they won't go back and forth. Once a player hits Wednesday and they haven't re-signed them, that player is more than likely going to be gone. That's how they've typically operated from my personal experiences with them in these exact situations. So we'll see how it plays out, but I really don't see Bud coming back, man. It's not looking like it right now, man.
Yeah, I agree. No. I thought maybe if some stuff would have taken place with the Steelers in terms of releases and restructurings, where all of a sudden we have between like $20 or $30 million in cap space, but that hasn't happened yet. Can you agree to a deal in principle then before the Steelers make any of those moves?
Now, what do you mean by that?
Like, say, you know how you can make these agreements right now, but you make the official signings on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Can, say, like Bud Dupree or Juju agree to a deal that would put us over the cap space, or just the cap in general on Wednesday when they sign. But once they do the agreed upon deal, the Steelers have that time period where they could do restructurings and whatnot. So when they do sign, it's within the cap.
So typically the reason why that doesn't happen is that is very risky business. Number one, from a player standpoint, you're essentially agreeing with somebody that's telling you we don't have the money right now. We're going to pay you next week. I mean, just think about it. That's what, essentially, like, imagine, Deke, if I'm like, hey, Deke, I want you to come and agree to be on my team. I don't have the money to pay you right now, but hopefully if I can get this guy to agree upon the restructure, because remember, with restructures, it's a two-way street. It's not just the team saying we're restructuring you. The player has to say, okay, I agree to the restructure. Let's do the deal. So if that's not happening, then the restructure can't take place. So to make the deal before you get the restructure taking place or taken care of, it's kind of a gamble, because if you're not able to get the restructure situated, well, now you're looking at facing some potential fines for being over the cap once the new league year starts. And that's what you really don't want to have to deal with, right? So that's typically why you don't see it. But in theory, yes, it could happen, because all it is a gentleman's agreement. When you agree upon it in principle, you hash out the deals, you talk about the money and things like that. But until the contract is set in stone and the ink is on it, all it is just word of mouth. That's all it is. So you can talk to people and agree, but until that money until it's officially signed, it's nothing there. But that's why the teams, when they are talking, they know that, hey, this money is here, because we don't want any funny business. If I'm negotiating and I'm another team, right? And the Steelers are talking to Bud and they're saying, hey, Bud, we don't have it right now, but if you wait, we'll restructure this, hopefully get that done, and we'll get that money to you. All right. If I'm an opposing team that's coming in to talk to Bud, I'm saying, why play that game when I for a fact have this money right now? I don't have to hope that this guy's going to take a restructure. I don't have to hope that this guy's going to take a pay cut. I got your cash right here, baby. What's up? In fact, I'll give you an extra $1 on top of it for the hassle. What do you think he's going to do? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I look at that scenario. So yes, technically you could do that, But I don't know a lot of players that are going to be willing to take that risk. That's a little riskier than these contracts that don't have guarantee money in them. It's just like, I'm cool on that, man.
I'm just confused then what's going on with the Steelers right now.
That makes two of us.
Because we don't have the cap space to make any of these potential moves that we've talked about. We think we need a little bit.
Yeah, and we still have two moves that could potentially happen, right? We said the two bigger name guys that can save you a ton of cap space are David DeCastro and Vince Williams. If the team at any point today or tomorrow decide to restructure or release one of those guys, more importantly, if they release one of those guys, you're either going to save what we said, $10 million for Vince, and we think it was $14 million for DeCastro. You're saving a ton of money with either one of those guys being gone. And that could give you a lot more flexibility to either re-sign some of your in-house free agents or potentially go out there and upgrade your interior part of your offensive line or potentially try to make a move on a tackle, right? So you have those things in your wheelhouse, but it can't happen if you don't release one of those type of guys. Joe Hayden already said he's not getting released, right? So we take him off the table. Steven Nelson, it still doesn't save you as much to release him right now. So you probably won't see that. So what are we waiting on? Like, what's going to happen here? You know, that's the scenario we're in right now. The waiting game. You got to love it, though, right? You got to love it.
Yeah. So that's Bud Dupree.
Yeah, man. So next, man, we got to talk Avery Williamson, man. Is he staying or is he going?
With this Spillane re-signing, I think he's gone.
Yeah. I could definitely agree with that right there. With, I think of the Spillane re-signing, how high they are on Robert. Obviously, you got Devin coming back. Avery's cost, I think he was around like that $7 million a year range.
Really?
You're not gonna pay.
There's no way.
You're not paying $7 for a backup.
We got the steal with Spillane then, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Because now, I don't know what's going to happen going forward with their careers, but based off last season when Spillane was healthy versus Williamson, I would take Spillane. That's just based off eye test.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's me personally.
Okay. And I'm just talking last season though.
Well, no, and that's what I'm talking about because you're talking last season, but solely Steeler games last season. You didn't watch the early with the Avery with the Jets. Fair. You know what I mean? Where he got more opportunities. You got to think in Pittsburgh, he came on a moving train, new to his system, got thrown in there once the injuries happened. Let's be real, it wasn't like he got this. Oh yeah, take your time, and then you'll get this opportunity. It was like, all right, you're not gonna play anything, and then boom, injury, COVID, you're out there. So the situation that he got put into wasn't advantageous for him, but he still held his own. I didn't have an issue with his play in terms of that. But to me, when I watched Spillane was very productive last year, but his sample size is still very small. And as we've said before, it's a difference once they know this is the guy for the full 16 games. This is one of the things I want to see with Dotson, how he responds to that. I feel a lot more confident in Dotson handling it than I do in Spillane right now, just because it can get very tough. It can be very tough. Now, Spillane is a guy that's hard work. We know that. He's going to do whatever it takes to be in the right positions and make sure that he makes the plays he's supposed to make. But at times, the case could have been made that he was more overachieving than that being what the status quo will be for him going forward. But we won't know until he gets a larger opportunity. So that's why it's like, for me, I've seen Avery in those larger opportunities. Avery has handled his own in those opportunities at multiple stops. We haven't had the opportunity to sit with Spillane just yet. So that's why for me, I'm not willing to just say that, man, we got the better end of it because of Spillane's sample size in Pittsburgh versus Avery's in Pittsburgh. I just don't think it's apples to oranges. I mean, apples to apples right there.
No, that's completely fair. I guess I'm thinking Spillane for $1 million versus Avery Williamson at $7 million. And then based off what they did with the Steelers last year. Yeah. But that has to do with a lot of what you said, him coming into the new system where Spillane's been here for how long. And to your point, too, what are we going to see from Spillane going forward? The sample size, because he didn't really look good in the Browns game, the wild card.
He struggled.
But how much of that was injury coming off first time or first game back? Well, so we'll see.
And I'm with you on that. Yeah, and I definitely agree that stuff plays a part of it. As much as I like to go with the whole, well, if you're on the field, you're healthy. You know how that rule is. That definitely played a part in it. But to me, I still, in terms of how healthy he was going into that game, he had to be healthy enough that the organization felt he gave them the better opportunity than Avery Williamson, who had just, put together a couple of really good games up until that point. Remember, he had led the team in tackles the 3 games that he had got the full like starts and stuff like that, was doing some good stuff. But then you see that happen and it was kind of like, well, man, all right. But then you see Spillane struggling and they never switched him back. So it's just like, well, dang, you really were 100% sold that Spillane gave you the best option right now. That's another reason why if I'm Avery, I'm just kind of like, well, why would I want to come back to play that game? You know, where you might just change your mind on who you think is the better player or who should get this opportunity. You didn't trade for me for, you know, to come in here and just sit like this. But this is the move that you made when it was the biggest game of the year. And we saw how it turned out. So if you're Avery, how do you feel about that as well? Because you're not as invested because you were only here for 6-7 weeks. So that's another thing where I just think like, man,
it doesn't make sense for both sides. Yeah, there's no way the Steelers want to pay $7 million. And then if you're talking from Avery's perspective there, it doesn't seem like it makes sense to come back at $2 or $3 million with those uncertainties.
But now you said it doesn't make sense for them to pay $7 million. I'm not completely sold on that either.
Really?
Just based on Vince Williams' contract, right? And what he's been able to make throughout his, 2 deals that he's gotten done here, it's paid him, in that vicinity. It's not too far off. So if they're going to make a move on Vince, are you going to make a move on Vince and that means you're going to bring back Avery in a better role? Or what are you doing? Okay. Because I don't like this linebacker core if it's just Devin Bush, Robert Spillane, and Marcus Allen. That don't sound good to me at all.
You're assuming Vince is going to get cut.
Yeah, right. So if Vince is going to get cut, then we're going to need to either bring back Avery or you're going to need to spend some money in free agency or you're going to need to draft somebody. But you can't go out there with just Devin Bush coming off an ACL, Robert Spillane coming off of a late knee injury where he didn't look as good in that, game. And then you got Marcus Allen, who we said has potential, but he's definitely more of a project right now. I don't really like that a lot. I don't like that much. Ulysses Gilbert's another guy like...
What if Vince is back?
If Vince is back, I feel a lot better. I definitely feel a lot better because I got the veteran leadership. I know that he specializes in what? Stopping the run, tackles for loss, rushing the quarterback. I can work with him. We're very familiar with him. Without him, though, that makes a bigger hole. Now we're saying, well, who is
we might draft an inside linebacker in the first or second round now.
Right. But by doing that, what does that change now? We talked about, first and second round, what do we want? Linebacker. We said we want left tackle or a tackle and a running back. So we're going to create a whole nother need that would have to be addressed early on. That's going to put us in a bind elsewhere. Now you see what I mean?
Oh, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting.
Yes, indeed, man.
I think they just should have listened to us a couple podcasts ago. We would have like $30-40 million in cap space right now.
I mean, come on, man. We're experts for a reason. We're analysts for a reason.
Exactly.
We know what we're talking about here. Just listen to us, Omar Khan. Just listen to us, Kevin Colbert. We already know Mike Tomlin does. Come on, man. Jeez.
Who we got next?
All right. We got Big Al, Alejandro Villanueva. Who do you got, man? Is he staying or is he going?
I thought there was no shot. But now these random reports are coming out that he's talking with the Steelers. We looked up his projected contract. It was in the teens.
Mm-hmm.
I said there's no way.
I hope there's no way that we would pay him in the teens next year. I would hope that. Based on what we saw from him last year, yeah.
Yeah, no way. But he's talking to the Steelers. I don't know if it's what we were talking about with Juju, that, Juju just wants to come back with the Steelers. We haven't heard anything from Al. Maybe he does just want to come back with the Steelers, play with Ben his last season. I don't know. I mean, what could that contract be? $4 or $5 million? Like, that makes sense to me.
If he's coming back for $4 or $5 million, sure. But like you said, you got a chance to get teens on the open market. It just depends on, Al. Yeah, and obviously Al is a little, in terms of how he views the money element from a contract standpoint, he has a different perspective in that. This is just obviously from the personal relationship of when he went through that first go around from a contract negotiation standpoint. It's a weird thing, you know what I mean? Because for him, obviously his experiences in his former career has changed how he views certain things in life, but I still feel like that's a ton of money to be moving to just turn down. You know what I mean? To go from potentially teens, we're talking 13, 14, 15 mil to, all right, stay in Pittsburgh for $4 or $5 mil, and we're going to talk bad about you when you're playing bad and Ben gets hit. I mean, let's be real. It's not like you take the hometown discount and people just forgive you for bad play if it happens next season. No. We will be talking bad about him and act like the hometown discount never happened. That's what we're going. We know this. So if I'm him, I'm probably not gonna do it. But to each his own. He might say, I don't care. But I'm personally not doing it. Nah.
So you don't think he's back?
I personally don't. I just think that he's gonna. Tackles get paid too much in this league. You know what I mean? So for him, knowing that you're going to have multiple suitors that are willing to pay you substantially more than the Steelers, why stay here I just don't understand the draw unless you are I love Pittsburgh that much that I don't care about the 10 plus million that I'll be turning down. I just want to be here. All right, cool. If that's the case, man, pat you on your back. We appreciate you. No different than Juju if that were to take place for him. Hey, man, we appreciate you. Come on back at this very, very discounted rate. But if that's not the case, I don't want to pay him anything more than $5.
But that's cool. My assumption. If they're saying Al and the Steelers are talking, that he feels that way about Pittsburgh and just wants to be back at a $4 or $5 million, unless these reports are just being thrown out there.
I don't know. I'm about to say, put it like this. I do find it funny that we get reports that Al is talking to the Steelers. But we haven't heard one report that Juju has talked to the Steelers, and Juju is the most vocal about wanting to come back to Pittsburgh and not caring about money. So, yeah, we could take it for how we want to take it like that, right? I don't think either guy's going to be back, but they can do the whole, he's talking, he's not talking. I don't see how it's going to work out right now.
Okay. People are going to hate me for this. I need to clarify. I said be back for Ben's last season. That's the sentiments that are going on out there. That's not how I feel.
Oh, okay.
So, maybe he thinks that or something. That's not how I feel.
So, I was going to play longer, and Ben is going to play for just last year. I got you now.
What?
Okay, I see what you mean. Huh?
I'm clarifying. No, Ben's got 2 or 3 more. You said Al's
going to get a 4-year extension. Ben will play this last year, and then it's got you. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go, bro. Yeah, I ain't tripping.
It's the opposite. Al may be thinking it's Ben's last season, but I think Ben knows he's like, I got 2 or 3 more, but... The sentiments are what matters. No, it's how it is about perception and stuff. A lot of people are taking this whole Ben's last ride and running with it.
Ben's going to New Orleans. We're not tripping. Ben's about to play this year, ball out, and then go to New Orleans. You saw the extension they gave Taysom Hill. They did that so they could free it up for Big Ben. Ben's going there, and then he's going to take Al with him. I can see it. And then James Conner coming over there, too. Yep, they're going to have a whole little reunion in New Orleans. Watch. All right?
Nah, stop it.
You going to be up here being a New Orleans fan. Tell my boys, it's 7. You want what? Ooh, that's going to be interesting, though, because I don't know if Taysom Hill giving up that 7 now. I don't know if he's giving up that 7, baby. Oh, wait.
You're giving me PTSD, man. So 2 or 3 weeks ago when you were messing with me. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. Ben signed. We're good. Don't be doing this to me.
He signed. 1 year, voidable years afterwards. Taysom Hill signed. Voidable years afterwards. It's set up perfectly. Think about this, the whole parallel between Drew Brees and Big Ben. Every time they would compare the two, what do we always hear about how prolific Drew Brees is? But what do we always know here about Ben? Ben got to play outside. Ben got to throw through the weather and the wind. Drew Brees get to play in a dome. If Ben played in a dome, Ben could light it up like that too. It's set up perfectly, baby. Nah. It is set up perfectly. Yes, it is. And Ben doesn't have to go there right when he retires, right? Because that could be awkward. We don't want to do that. We don't want to make it awkward. No. We'll give them a little buffer year where they can either go Jameis, Taysom, or whoever else they want to have as a stopgap. And then from there, 7 goes after that. And then he'll, dominate the NFC South. Get the rematch of him versus Brady in the division twice a year. Oh, my gosh.
Stop it, dude.
I'm just saying, it will be fun, man. It will be fun.
I just needed to clarify that, let people know. Those aren't my sentiments. You know what my sentiments are. It. I've been on record how many
respect
times.
It.
But
I respect
we'll see, man. I don't know. I thought Al was for sure not coming back, but with some of these random-ass reports, I agree with you, though. If I had to lean one way, the market value for him right now, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree, man. All right, so next on the list, we got Matt Feiler. Staying or going?
I got a feeling he'll be back.
I agree. I think so. I like that. I like it. No, why do you think he'll be back, man?
It's just the feeling, dude. It's just the feeling. I don't think his market value is going to be that crazy.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 million. Is that what we're thinking?
I mean, I hope so. If that's the case, then we can talk with that. We can play with that.
He's solid. Yeah. I think it makes sense for both sides. You know, if he's getting offered maybe $6 million somewhere else, I could see him coming back for 4.5, $5 million here, something like that.
It's gonna be interesting. I don't know the dollar amount for him in terms of what he would be comfortable with or not, right? Because to just say that he would turn down 1.5, $2+ million to stay here in Pittsburgh, I'm not 100% that he would do that because you gotta think.
I'm just taking guesses.
Yeah, because the thing is this, he's an undrafted free agent. So that's what makes it different for some of these guys, right? This is their first go around to get paid. They're not like Ben. They're not like Pouncey. They're not like Juju. They're not like Connor who can make money off the field. A lot of these guys, they haven't had that chance to get that first, life-changing contract. BJ Finney was a prime example when he left. Chris Hubbard was a prime example when he left. I think that Matt, man, I feel like he's going to fall into that same boat unless one of the moves that we talked about earlier in terms of a cut or restructure takes place. If that happens, then I think that he definitely comes back. I think that they'll be able to pay him a little bit more.
And at market value.
He would stay. Right. But if they aren't able to do any of those moves that we talked about that can save cap space and free up a little bit more money, I don't think that, he's going to come back for that amount. I think he can get a little bit more just because he's shown that he can play and start for, a full season at right tackle. He's definitely proven that. But then what he did last year, showing that he can also move into guard. It's not a lot of tackles that pump in and play guard. It's usually centers and guards that play together and tackles that play together. You don't get tackles that can go ahead and play guard at a high level like Matt showed that he could do. So that's why for me, I just think that he's going to have a nicer market than anticipated. So yeah, unless the Steelers do something in-house where they can free up some more money, I don't think he's going to be back, man.
No.
Yeah.
You don't have that. You don't have that feeling though. Like I said at the beginning.
I don't,
it
man.
Seems right. It's a need for us. Like we really need it.
Yeah. It's definitely a need, but
so that's what I'm thinking. We're gonna figure out the restructuring or the releases, maybe, but we haven't done anything up to this point.
True, and that's the thing. But just our luck, what's gonna happen, right? We're gonna have this episode done. It's gonna be cooked up. We're gonna be talking about it, posting, and then in the heart of it, it's gonna be, such and such released. Frees up $10 million in the cap space. There we go. Cool. Thanks for the answer. So we'll see what happens though. But either way, that's the big thing. If one of those moves happen in terms of a cut or release from one of the bigger name people, then I think Matt comes back 100%. If that doesn't happen, I just don't think they'll have enough to pay him what he needs. So,
Okay. I just have that feeling he'll be back one way or another.
I hope so, man. I'm hoping so. All right. Now we got my dog, Mike Hilton. Whew. Is he staying or is he going?
Oh man, it's between him and Cam Sutton for me.
It is.
I think we're gonna re-sign one of them. It's probably gonna be the one who we could get for less. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
Who's gonna get less? I mean, didn't you think that Cam Sutton was gonna get more on the open market?
Well, I think it depends. Honestly, I can see
Steelers would value Mike Hilton more in house.
Yeah, Mike Hilton would be more valuable in house. Cam Sutton, the reason he's interesting in terms of I could see him potentially getting more money is just because of the flexibility that he has to bump out and play corner on the outside, and you could put him at safety. Those are three key positions to be flexible in. Problem is, in terms of why he could also not make a lot of money, he doesn't have a lot of productivity at this point, right? Obviously, the injuries played, a bigger part of that early on in his career, but he doesn't have a ton of plays built up in his repertoire. Whereas we've seen with Mike Hilton, 4 years of this thing now, right? We've seen countless play be made in the run game and rushing the quarterback in coverage. So even though he's solely a nickel corner, we've seen him dominate that position for multiple years now. Whereas with Cam, it's more intrigue, but not necessarily the finished product that Mike Hilton is right now. So that's why it's like, I feel like Mike will make more money, but I could easily see a team paying a little bit more for Cam Sutton because of the positional flexibility of those things. Absolutely. Yep.
So is there a world we get neither?
It could definitely happen where we get neither. If number one, first off, like I said, if they don't do any more movement in-house,
we're all on James Pierre.
Either of these guys. Yeah. We'll be in the James Pierre, Justin Lane hoping for the best scenario, right? But I do think that, it's hard not knowing which move is made yet. Oh, man. I think in the end, Cam Sutton returns. I don't think Mike Hilton returns. I think that's the one. Because if I'm a team right now. That's how I'm
thinking too, a little bit.
Yeah. If I'm a team that doesn't know either one of those guys, I'm not as open to taking a chance on a cover guy, right, that can play multiple spots as I would be a proven guy that I know, hey, he covers well. He can get after the quarterback. He's great against the run. I know what this is versus the intrigue of somebody else's. You know what I mean? Because I always ask myself, all right, well, if he's so intriguing, if he is so versatile, why isn't he more of a priority from a contract standpoint? Meaning, yeah, we're in a cap situation where we don't have the most flexibility, but we also know ways to free up cap space is by releasing people. So if you're not releasing those people, you're basically saying that those people are more valuable to your team than this versatile corner that could play inside, outside, and safety. If I'm another team looking at that, I'm going to say, I might be a little hesitant on it, and I might not want to pay as much for that. So that's why I'm just like, I think Mike Hilton is going to be the one that does get the contract and ultimately go over to, newer pastures and things like that.
I've seen different projections from like 6 to 7 million all the way down to like 2 or 3 million.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking with that?
For a Hilton or a Sutton?
Hilton.
For Hilton, 6 or 7. I think he's closer to that range. That's what Roby Coleman, he was in that range when he did his extension in LA, and then obviously when he went over to Philadelphia a year ago. And those two guys have kind of been viewed as like the top slot corners for the past couple of years, right? In terms of what they've been able to do, playmaking ability and stuff like that. So just seeing Roby's market, I feel like Hilton's going to be very similar to that. Both of those guys are undersized. Both of them are scrappy, but both of them are just very productive players. But they are solely, slot corners. That's who they are. And you know that, and you know that they are dominant at that position. So even though they're limited, you know what they specialize in, and you pay for that. So I think with Hilton, he's going to be in that same range, that 6 or 7 million. If he was assigned anywhere for 2 million, I would be shocked.
Yeah, because the 6 or 7 makes sense for us.
Yeah. Not right now, based on the people that are still under contract. I mean,
what if it was 4 or 5?
If it's 4 or 5, sure.
Okay.
But you still got to make moves, right? You still would have to do something with your DeCastro or your Vince. You would still need to make some type of movement from a contract standpoint with Joe Hayden and Steven Nelson. I mean, it's multiple pieces that are going to be like that you're going to need to potentially adjust. You know what I mean? Whether it's a full restructure, whether it's a cut, whether it's we're going to tear your contract up like they did with Ben and do something different. Either way, they're going to have to figure that out if they want to bring those type of guys back. Right now, we're not seeing a lot of movement,
Yeah, exactly.
Call up your boy Colbert, man, and see what's going on, man. What is this?
I know, dude. I think I agree with you, though. Sheesh. That was my feeling. I think Mike Hilton's going to get more in free agency. Cam Sutton's flying a little bit more under the radar. Even if teams do think that he could be used in some of those versatile ways, hasn't been proven, so the Steelers might actually maybe fork up a little bit more money to keep Cam Sutton, depending on what his highest bidder gives him. If it's $3 million and the Steelers say, we could go a little bit higher than that, 3.5, $4 million to keep you. We're losing Mike Hilton. I could see something like that happening maybe. But then if you think Cam Sutton's going to get like $6-7 million, oh man, we're done.
See, that's the thing. I put it like this.
There's a chance it happens, but
I would be more surprised. I'm saying this backwards. I would be less surprised if Cam Sutton were to sign for $2 million than if Mike Hilton were. You know what I mean? Because with Cam, what I talked about, right? In terms of intrigue, you can see the potential there, but he doesn't have a ton of years and a ton of productivity just, slated like that. It's still kind of new with him. Still a lot of uncertainty in terms of, all right, he's done it in this role where he's, had a ton of nice pieces around him. But when you get paid the way he's potentially going to get paid, you're coming in and you're going to have to be more of a focal point, not just an accessory. And if you've never seen him be a focal point, that could make you a little hesitant to give him big money, especially early on. So it wouldn't surprise me if his market was in that $2 million range. Now, I think it will be more, but if it was in that $2 million range, that would not surprise me for Cam Sutton.
Yeah, but then it would make sense for us to bring him back at $3 million for sure.
True, but then it would also have to make sure that the parties would want to do it together, right? Because we always just assume that, man, these guys, they've been here for multiple years. They want to stay here. These guys have been here for multiple years. They want to stay here. They want to take
we
less.
Have the upper hand.
Yeah, and for personal experience, that is not the case. And I'm talking about here in Pittsburgh, not even Buffalo or AZ. In Pittsburgh, I've had guys that have either come through free agency, and after 1 year, they're like, bro, I'm out. Ask for my release. I'm gone. It's been guys that have been drafted here that have played multiple years, and when their contract is up, they're like, bro, I don't want to stay here anymore. I hate it here. So trust me, it's not always a foregone conclusion that these guys just, oh man, they've got drafted here, or they've been here for at least a year, they want to stay. That's not always the case, man. So that's what I'm like. So for Cam Sutton, it's like, yeah, I mean, if his market is $3 million and the Steelers are like, we could pay that, sure. But how does Cam feel about that? Does Cam want to come back for 3? Or does Cam want to try out somewhere elsewhere? It just depends. I mean,
you can make everyone wants to be back.
Yeah, because if I'm Cam Sutton, right? This is how easily, and this is why I always say, like, I don't make it a foregone conclusion, because I know the thoughts that these people are having in some of these scenarios. If you're Cam, all right, you feel like you're important, you feel like you're valuable, but when was it ever you over Mike Hilton?
True.
You were the draft pick here, and it was never you got the opportunity over Mike Hilton. Even when you were healthy, it was always Mike Hilton. And then you, or this guy has to get hurt and then you get the opportunity. So if you're Cam, you could be saying, why come back here for this rate when I could go somewhere else where they might actually love me? You know, they're not going to look at me as
maybe.
Right. But they're not going to say
tables are being turned on me right now.
because if you're Cam Sutton, right? If you're Cam Sutton and you go to Atlanta, you got a better chance of being, you know, a guy or being one of the guys there, right? On their defense. Now, I'm not saying their defense is good, but you got a better chance of being the guy there, right? You might even get paid a little bit more. Whereas in Pittsburgh, are you ever going to be viewed as the guy on defense? No. Joe Hayden, Steven Nelson, Minkah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, Devin Bush, like all these other names are going to come up before Cam Sutton. So that's what I'm just saying. Like he could have that mindset where I want to prove that I'm the guy. Not saying that he does, but that's the part of why I'm like, you never know 100% with these dudes. Like, you just never know in those scenarios because he hasn't had that opportunity just yet.
That's 100% fair.
Yeah, man.
So,
but hopefully Cam
Sutton
back, though.
And Mike Hilton out the way with that, I guess. I agree with you. Yeah. I lean Cam Sutton coming back a little bit more than Mike Hilton.
We're on the same page.
So far, we only have one player coming back.
Yeah. All right, but here we go. We're gonna get some good ones here. All right, we got Tyson Alualu. Man, what you thinking? Staying or going?
At 34, I think he'll be back. I just got that feeling. I don't really have anything to base it off of. I don't know what his market is completely. I'm gonna assume now it's like $2 million.
Well, that's the unique thing with him because his market, if he was 3 years younger, he would have a really good market right now because he balled out these past 2 years.
Yeah, based off last year. Yeah.
Yeah, he did his thing. So if he's 3 years younger, he would be getting compensated nicely somewhere. Also, if he was 3 years younger, I would think, yeah, man, why would he be, hesitant about leaving? Go get you some more checks. Go get you some more paper. But at this stage, at him being 34, I do think his market will be a little bit smaller because of the age element. Also, knowing him and, he's putting down roots, you know what I mean? So it's like, does he really want to uproot the fam, the kids, and go somewhere else at this stage in his career? I personally don't think he will, but it wouldn't shock me if he did. I could totally see it if the money is right. But to me, I think that Tyson stays. I think that he stays. I feel like he's enjoying his time here a lot, and it's drastically different from his time in Jacksonville, where he didn't have a lot of success, where organizational stability was, something that was spoke about around campfires, down in Jacksonville. He gets that here in Pittsburgh. He gets the comfort of, man, I got the same head coach. I got the same coordinators. I got the same GM. I got the same owner. I don't have to deal with the transition. I don't have to deal with, we don't have fans here, so just put a pool in the stadium. That'll get people here. We don't have to deal with that. It's Pittsburgh football, baby. We know what this is. So I think in the end, that weighs a little bit heavier for Tyson because of the stage of his career and all the other factors. And I do think he'll stay.
All right, I'm with you. Who do we got next?
Man. Now we got to go to Zach Banner, man. Shout out to Zach Banner.
I think it's for sure. I don't think you throw out statements that Mike Tomlin says you're the answer without you thinking you're going to be coming back. Now,
I agree.
What's he the answer for? Now, this is what got me questioning things whenever these reports, Steelers were talking to Alvin and Waiver coming back, because whenever you say the answer, everyone thought it was for left tackle. But then with those reports, I'm thinking, is Zach Banner the answer at right tackle? Is that what he was talking about? Either way,
you killing me,
Banner might have a shot to start at tackle, left or right. I think he'll be back.
You just killed me. You killed me right there. I love you. I love it. My man Deke said, they said he's the answer. The answer for what, though? God, dog. Deke,
just
Lord
left or
have
right
mercy,
tackle.
man.
That's not a slight at all.
Lord, Deke, Lord. But I agree, man. You don't make those type of statements if you're not coming back. It's very similar to how we view Joe Hayden, right? If you're Joe Hayden, when Joe Hayden said, listen, I'm not getting cut, I will be here next year. You don't make those type of statements.
That'll be thrown on freezing cold takes.
Yes, absolutely. So for Zach, yes, I believe 100% he will be back. He'll be competing for one of the tackle spots, like you said. I think we'll know a lot more based on some of these moves that are going to happen within these next 2 weeks. And then obviously once the draft happens, because those are going to dictate and really tell us how this team views Zach Banner. If they think that he can come in and be a valuable starting option at left tackle, right? Then they're not going to go out there and spend a ton of money in free agency to get a left tackle. Yeah. They're not going to draft a left tackle at 24.
Just garbage.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They would stick with Zach Banner, and that would be the guy. Now, if they're trying to bring back Al, that means they're not confident that Zach can get the job done at left tackle. If they draft a left tackle in round 1 or round 2, that means they're not confident that Zach Banner can get the job done at left tackle. That's
maybe competition
what we're gonna
for right tackle, but
right. Competition for right tackle. And he's shown that, hey, he beat out Chooks. Now, we don't know if he was going to be able to be productive for a 16-game schedule because obviously he got hurt in game 1, but he did at least beat out Chooks. So with that being the case, they might view him as solely a right tackle guy. But either way, we're going to know a lot more as this month progresses, and more importantly, rounds 1 and 2 of the draft.
Sure. Okay,
yeah, man.
We're in agreement on that one. So we have Banner, Alualu, Cam Sutton coming back. Is that it so far?
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds about right. All right, now we got to go with Cassius Marsh. Is he staying?
No.
Or is he going?
No.
He said nah. He's like, you didn't like. I mean, he played in the wild card game, man. He got a lot of snaps that game, man.
I don't think he played well though, from what I remember. Our defensive line was getting blown up. Browns ran all over us. He didn't have a good performance as a Steeler. Hopefully he could do better somewhere else. I just don't see him coming back.
Yeah, I think his time is done. One of the things that
he seems like an interesting person, though. He's got all those tattoos.
No,
Apparently, he's got like a Pokemon collection. He's like a big time collector or something like that. But in terms of football,
he's a cool dude, man.
I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, he's a good dude in terms of some of the stuff that he's doing with that. I know he does some like sports memorabilia marketing and stuff for some of the alumni players, which is cool to, get some of the older guys involved in some of the stuff that we've been able to benefit from this generation in terms of selling our merchandise, making the money on it and stuff like that. He does have a company, or he's an investor in a company that does that type of stuff. So it's cool on his part. But I mean, with Cassius, he played like what I expected him to play like, just based on what I saw from him in Seattle, San Fran, and in New England. He rushes the passer, not good against the run, plays special teams. That's what he was here. I mean, the problem was he never got the chance to get in games where he needed to just rush only. He got in games where he had to play the Browns, and they want to run the ball with 2 tight ends. It's not his forte, and you saw him struggle in a big-time way in that wild card game, man. A lot of those runs that were to the left side were at him. He was the point of attack guy, and he just couldn't hold up or set an edge to the level that we need here in Pittsburgh. And that was, his bigger knock. So that's the biggest reason why I don't think he'll come back. I think that he'll still be in the league for, a couple more years. Because he's an athlete. He's a big athlete. I mean, he runs well, has hips and things like that. But until he decides to play the run 100% of the time and legit be committed to that element of his game, he's going to deal with stuff like this where, all right, we'll bring you in, situationally you'll play here, but you're never going to find that team that loves you per se.
Sure. So we agree there.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
I mean, we're looking at the same list. So
yeah, absolutely. So you know what the next name is? You know what the next name is?
Yeah,
Juju Smith-Schuster, baby. Staying or going.
I don't think he is.
What we got?
I don't think he is.
You don't think he's staying?
I don't.
Oh man.
I was so optimistic about him coming back for a stretch of time. Now, whether or not we needed him or not, I did seem like he was going to come back for a lesser amount. He really wanted to stay in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Some of these new reports, though, honestly, I could maybe see a report tomorrow that says, it's 90% chance Juju's coming back. Everything's worked out with the Steelers, just because that's how it's been literally every other day.
It has,
no chance Juju's coming back. All of a sudden, then his mom responds or Juju responds. I'd love to be back in Pittsburgh. I can't see you in any other uniform. Then the next day, it's just Juju released a statement where it seems very mellow where he's going to be going. Yeah. And he's like, I love it in Pittsburgh. No matter what happens, I'll always be a Steeler, but, things happen.
That was a goodbye message. We know what that was. That was a goodbye message. You saw that, man.
So it's,
you know what that was?
End of day, with the receivers that are available, with what Juju might be getting in free agency, I don't see it happening. And the receivers that we have on the roster, too. I don't see it happening.
I agree with you, man. You hit it on the head right there. Everything, like you said, man, one moment it looks like he's coming back, next it doesn't. His mom has been doing a great job. Yeah. And his mom has been doing a great job also of helping with some of the rumors, right? Just putting some of that stuff to rest. Because this is a big situation. It's a big deal. A lot of people, we just solely look at it from the fact of Juju and what it means to him, but it impacts a lot of people. And I think, he's handling as best as he can right now. But I did get the vibe from that most recent message that he gave off that was his goodbye message, right? The, man, I loved y'all here. It was a blast. We'll see what happens. But either way, y'all know, I've typed up one of those before. I know what that was. Hey, guys, regardless of what happens, Buffalo, y'all are always my heart. Y'all gave me my start. Y'all took a chance on this kid out of James Madison University. No hard feelings either way. We knew what was going on. As soon as I typed, I said, I know I'm out. I wasn't going to type it until I knew I was gone. But when I saw how that did, I said, we gone. I know what this is. So, and then on the contrary, in 2014, after I finished that 1 year here and I did the extension, in the midst of me going through negotiations, I never typed up my, hey, yo, Pittsburgh, it was a crazy 1 year. I loved you. I never typed it up because I never felt that it was going to happen.
Wow.
Even when I agreed on my deal in principle, I still was just like, all right, we it's some pieces that could happen, some things that could move. So we weren't there just yet.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I definitely knew with my other stuff, it was like, yes, thank you for everything. I will holler at y'all. Love Bills Mafia. I'll talk to the organization later. But now we're all good. So it's all good now. But that's the vibe that I got from Juju, man. So yeah, I don't see him coming back, man.
For sure.
I would love it if he did, but I don't see it happening, man.
For sure.
All right,
we got quite Davis, a few. Right? Yeah, we got quite a few names left here.
Yeah, we'll speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
Is there any? I guess James Conner. We both agree that he's gone, right?
Yeah, but no, we're gonna go through.
I'm jumping the gun.
Give them their justice. Yeah, give them their justice. Come on now, don't you do that,
Sean Davis.
Man, where we at with him, man? Talk to me.
I'm just gonna be throwing darts at a dartboard with these ones. All
right.
Sean Davis. No, I'm not feeling it.
I could dig it.
What do you think?
I think with him, it's interesting because obviously second round pick, left, got a nice little check to go to Washington. That didn't work out. Made his return in the exact same year. At this stage, even though I think that he still could compete somewhere to be a starter, I don't think this team is going to view him as a starter because you're not putting him out there over Edmonds and you're not even thinking about him over Minka. So from there, you got to go to the special teams element of it. And right now, he's not as polished as a special teamer. It's a difference between, him having those opportunities early on defense in his career versus getting a lot of special teams reps early in his career. He didn't get a lot of that. So now he's a little bit behind the 8 ball. And for what he would probably be making, under the, I got to see what, in terms of how they did the contract element for him. I don't think that it works out here in Pittsburgh unless he comes back for vet minimum. I just don't see it working out for him in Pittsburgh right now, man.
Yeah, and if you're going to have a extra secondary or hybrid defender out there, you're not thinking Sean Davis. You're probably thinking like Marcus Allen, Cam Sutton. potentially Pierre, unless I don't know what you got to say.
I was about to say, I personally, I like Sean Davis over all of those guys personally. Okay. But the problem is Sean, I mean, for him, he had his best time as a true, just strong
his
safety.
Rookie year was probably his best year.
Yeah, right. But even that year, he still had to bounce around a little bit. But for him, he is a victim of moving around too much. Instead of him just solely being able to play one safety spot, he's played strong safety. He's played free safety. He's played nickel corner. He never had that chance to just sit in one spot and just develop. So now you kind of get this where I think he can play at any of those spots and be a starter at any of those spots. But because he hasn't stayed there long enough, I don't see him legitimately getting the reps needed, the necessary reps for him to compete like he needs to right now. So that's the thing. So I don't think he'll be back because of the variables of it, but I do think that he gives them a better option than the guys that you had named personally. But it is what it is, you know?
That's interesting then.
Yeah, but
the Steelers probably wouldn't switch Edmonds, that we've talked about this a lot, to that hybrid type of role and then slot Sean Davis as a permanent safety.
If you switch Edmonds, all you're going to do is just reset what happened to Sean Davis, and now that's going to happen to Edmonds.
Yeah.
Because instead of Edmonds being able to get multiple years at one position and become dominant and know the ins and outs of it, now he's going to have to become a rookie essentially all over again, but in year 3 and at a new position. So you can just see why it doesn't make a lot of sense, because that's ultimately what happened to Sean Davis. Each year in his first 2 years, they would switch him out. All right, you're going to play here now. You're starting at this spot. All right, now you're at this spot. Now you're starting there. And it's cool because you got the flexibility to get you on the field, but it can be very detrimental to your growth at these various positions if you're not careful. And I think ultimately that's what's happening with Sean Davis right now, man. But athletically, Marcus Allen, James Pierre, Cam Sutton, it's not a lot of guys. Like, they don't touch Sean Davis from an athletic standpoint. Like, Marcus Allen is closer, but Marcus isn't as physical as Sean Davis. Sean is a freaky athlete. Like, he was a second-round pick for a reason. Very gifted.
Man, where's the buzz on Davis? That I think we could maybe.
I already
told
you though. But no, I already told you why it's not going to work, man. Because they're not going to put him at one of those safety spots. So either way, he's going to have to go to a new position if he's going to linebacker. You don't pay a guy in his 4th year, you know, what he's going to have to make to go learn a new position like that if he hasn't already proven that he can do it, right? You're not going to put him at your slot corner right now, especially when you're trying to bring back either Mike Hilton or Cam Sutton. So you can just see where he's the odd man out. And then he doesn't bring you enough special teams value like a Jordan Dangerfield, for example, right? Who, that's his niche. He dominates that element. That's what he's good at. With Sean Davis, he hasn't proven that he can do that. So that's why it's one of those weird scenarios with him that even though he's very talented, I don't think it's going to work right now, man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Jordan Berry.
Staying or going. I would love for him to stay. You know, that's my homie. That's me.
I think he'll be back. Yeah.
I think he will.
We saw him come back last year. We had some punting woes, so
yeah.
Maybe we value him a little bit.
We brought some competition in for him. Yeah. They brought some competition. He did what he's supposed to do. So you know what? We'll go with Jordan coming back. I like that. All right. Who's next on that list? Jaron Elliott?
Yeah.
He'll be back. It ain't going to cost much. He'll be back.
Well, I was going to say, Adeni's not coming back, right?
Yes, correct. Adeni is not coming back. So
we need outside linebacker depth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because right now, the only guys on the roster.
Whether we resign Elliott or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Because right now, the only guys on the roster that are under contract are TJ, Alex, and...
I think that's it. Dude.
Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah, that is it. Yeah, so, Jaron is going to have to come back. Otherwise, they're going to have to do a full remodel of that position group right there. So, yeah, we both think he'll be back. Chris Wormley, the D tackle.
Man. I don't think he'll be back. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm starting to agree. I don't think he's coming back. It was a cool experiment. He flashed at times, has some not so good plays at times, but we got too much depth in that position right now. And if I got to try to decide, am I going to spend a little extra to bring back Chris Wormley, or am I going to spend a little extra to bring back Tyson? I would much rather have Tyson. So that's my mindset with that, man. Yeah,
Mondo.
Absolutely. And then Carlos Davis as well. It's enough pieces inside, man. All right. Then we got my dog, Jordan Dangerfield. Shout out to the homie. What you got for him, man? He's staying or is he going?
It doesn't matter what I think. You got the inside scoop here.
No, man. We not doing that, baby. No.
I'm going to say, this is tough because maybe this goes back to the whole Tyson point that you were bringing up.
Yeah.
If he likes it in Pittsburgh, he's 31.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is 31. Jeez, my dog got old on me, man.
Special teams captain. How do other teams view him? I know they paid Matakavich pretty good last year up in Buffalo. Yeah. So if there's a team or two that sees Dangerfield. And then obviously
we paid Derek Watt. And we know, what he did from a special team standpoint as well. So special teams value is there around the league. Yeah.
You know what? We're going to keep the good vibes rolling. I'm saying yes.
Mm-hmm. I like it, man. For me, I feel like he will stay. I want him to stay.
Yeah.
I just feel like he could potentially
There's an X factor
element. A little bit more.
Yeah,
I feel like he could get a little bit more though on the market. But I do think his best situation is here in Pittsburgh because of the familiarity. Because this is his 7th year now with the Steelers. Like, he's been here for a while. It's a familiarity. They know what he can do. He knows what they expect of him, and he's carved up a nice role. It's not going to be really expensive. $1 million, $1.2 million max. You know what I mean? Like in that range. I just think that, that's what you roll with right now. Now, it could be a little bit more based on the market that, you think about a couple years ago, right, with Robert Golden. He was a guy that was undrafted, special teams captain for us. We re-signed him to a deal that paid him around that 1.3, 1.5 range annually. I could see him in that same ballpark. Now, Rosie Nick's deal was a little bit better because he had the Pro Bowl year, but he was still in that same type of, annual pay per year. So I could see them doing something like that. But yeah, I do want him to be back though. Put it like that.
Sure. Yep. Same. Danny Isadora. I have no clue who this is. I have no clue. So I'm going to say no. You're not coming back.
Oh, all right. Well, he is a guard. He's, journey. I don't even say journeyman.
When was he on the roster?
He was up here obviously last year. I'm trying to think, was he ever active though? That's what I need to see.
Okay.
Because I don't know if he was active like that. I'm pull it up though.
Okay.
See how many games he at least appeared in and stuff, right?
Yeah, I've never heard of him at all.
No, because he was up here all the last year. I think
every other name on this list I recognize except his.
Yeah, so let's see. So with Danny, definitely, like I said, it was a journeyman, but it was weird. Let's see, he was in Minnesota 2 years, Miami, Kansas City. Yeah, the past 3 years, he's literally played 4 games. He played in 1 game for us this year, but I don't see a breakdown on snaps or anything just yet. Or no, excuse me, he did not play. But no, his 1 game was with Kansas City, and then they put him on the practice squad, and then we signed him from the practice squad in December, but he never dressed for us.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was up here, but he never dressed. But yeah.
It's unfortunate. I just don't see Danny coming back.
Put it like this, as much as, this is the issue, right? As easy as it is to say he's not coming back, that's cool. But if we don't make any moves, he's going to have to be back.
We need a
because
guard.
We don't have the depth. What guards are currently on the roster right now? We just said how many of these guys are free agents?
Penny pickup, though.
Yeah. So you got BJ, you got JC, right? One's a center, one's a center guard. However you want to slice it. So, yeah.
You thinking he's back then? He's an X factor.
You label him. I ain't say all that. We just simply said he's coming back and that. And just because he comes back doesn't mean that he makes the roster either.
Right.
We simply said we come back. Those type of contracts are like crumbs. That's like a futures deal. But you know what though? If they haven't given him a futures deal by now, he's not coming back.
Oh.
Yeah. No, because seriously, it's like most of the time with guys that are in his, standing from a career standpoint, as soon as the year ends, if you want that guy back or not, and you give him what they call a futures contract, right? It's super cheap, take it or leave it type situation. Doesn't hurt your cap at all. Just because of how small the deal is, right? So if they didn't give him that once the season ended, they're more than likely not going to do that. Okay. So yeah, and not at this stage. You don't wait that long for that. All right. We already talked about Cam Sutton. Now we got James Conner.
No.
Staying or going? Uh-oh.
No. I think everything's pointed to that. Yeah, I don't even, for me, I think that's pretty much a guarantee.
And they're projecting his annual market to be at what, a little under $5.5 million too. So I don't think we pay James that. I think that, the time has definitely come, man. Just change the scenery for both parties. It's going to be good for both.
For sure.
Absolutely. All right. Gerald Hawkins, tackle. Let's see. It was fourth round pick for us a couple years ago. Then obviously we talked about how we had traded him and then we've acquired him back now. But yes, Gerald Hawkins.
Yeah, I mean, goes back to your Isadora point. We could use the offensive line depth. No, now, I don't think he's coming back, though. I don't think he's coming back.
Well, I will say this. Big difference between Hawkins and Isadora. Hawkins being the fourth round pick. I do think he has a bigger chance of coming back. The reason why I don't think it'll happen, though, if you had him in-house, you draft him as a fourth round pick. He dealt with injuries early on now. I will throw that out there. He dealt with injuries a lot. But you draft him in the fourth round and never really materializes, right? Then you trade him away, you get him back, and he's still, he was your swing tackle or your extra lineman, right? He would come in and be the extra tackle. He would do that type of stuff. And I thought he did well in that role. But as a whole, I just don't know if he's done enough to make the team say, you know what, we believe in your potential. We believe that you're going to continue to develop. I think at this stage, they might be saying, can we draft somebody or sign a journeyman tackle that might have given us a little bit more productivity? I think that could start to happen. So I'm going to say Hawkins is not returning.
Okay. Next one's interesting.
Yeah, but because he's a tackle. He's played coming out. He was athletic. Coming out, people thought that he could play left or right. They said he would definitely be more of a project piece, but he was very intriguing. It never really materialized though, right? So yeah, that's the thought on it, man. But we'll see. We will see.
Dobbs.
All right, now we got my astronaut now, my rocket scientist. Here we go.
Bro, this is
Josh Dobbs. Staying or going?
I think going.
Okay.
I don't think he should, though. It seems like him and Ben have a connection, and I don't want to lose that. So we already have Haskins in the room.
You don't want to lose that
Mason Rudolph.
You don't want to lose that for Dobbs, or you don't want to lose that for Ben? Who do you don't want to lose it for?
Both. They seem to be good friends. I would take probably Mason Rudolph and Haskins over Dobbs for sure at quarterback, but I think that extra element, that connection with Ben as his right-hand man, along with, I don't know, we kind of talked about it last year with that Week 17 Browns game. Could he bring that maybe Randall element at some point with Matt Canada?
You saw what it looked like.
Do we roster 4 quarterbacks? That's what makes me think he's not coming back, but there are some definite positives for him to return.
Yeah. I think he comes back because it makes sense for him to come back first off, right? He's at this stage of his career, people aren't going to look at him as a starter. They're going to look at him as a depth guy, a number 2 or number 3 quarterback. And you have to ask yourself, all right, based on these teams out here, the ones that are going to draft a quarterback, that's probably not going to work out for you. And then you got to look at the ones that already have their quarterback situation taken care of, and if they will be willing to let you come and compete. It's hard to get that once you get older as a quarterback, right? The longer they see you stay in this league and not really have those moments where you've shown you could be a starter. Charlie talked about this, Charlie Batch, right? In the interview, he talked about how he at least proved that he was a starter prior to him coming here. And that changed the dynamic of how teams viewed him and how the Steelers viewed him ultimately. Dobbs hasn't had that. So if you're the Steelers, even though Dobbs gives Ben, some comfort, right? In terms of what he sees on the field and just the rapport between those two guys, is Dobbs a better option than Mason or Haskins? That's debatable, right? But the reason why it makes sense for both parties either way, for Dobbs, you got the comfort of knowing that, hey, I've been here for multiple years now. Even when I left, this team found a way to bring me back. They know what I am. I know who they are. If you're the organization, it makes sense because worst case scenario, he's competition for Mason and Haskins. And ultimately, it makes one of those two guys play better and you get rid of him anyways. But best case is he comes out and he beats one of those guys out. well, now you feel a lot confident that, all right, I know my depth behind Ben is at least the best of the three, right? Those trio of guys in terms of Haskins and Rudolph and Dobbs. At least we know that the guys backing them up earned that right. They got it the right way, not, well, just by default because we only got 3 guys on the roster at quarterback. That's why they're the 3 quarterbacks. That's my whole thing, you know? So I definitely think he'll be back because of those parts. Now, does he make the roster? That's a different conversation. But I definitely think that he'll be back, though.
Okay. Yeah. And then Ola Daney, we both agreed he's not coming back.
Yeah, and all the reports have already come out that the team said they're not going to be tendering him. Obviously, that was a big deal because they had tendered Robert Spillane on the same day. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't have an issue with it. I think it was the right move at this time just because, like I said, with Ola wants another opportunity, right? He's going to want the opportunity to go out here and try to show that he can be, you know, a more productive player and can get, you know, out there and stay healthy because right now in Pittsburgh, we've seen him. Yeah, we've seen him as a preseason darling, but he's continued to be hurt and just getting hurt at the wrong time. A lot of times when organizations, they'll move on. And when you got a guy like Alex Highsmith who came in as a rookie and played well and was available to you for a large majority of the season, that makes you look at him a lot more favorably than you would a Ola Adaney. So that's the biggest reason why I could definitely see Ola, you know, taking his talents elsewhere. But I do hope it works out for him because he's a talented player. But he's another guy similar to Cassius in terms of just having to understand the significance and the importance of not just trying to dominate as a pass rusher, but having to dominate as a run stopper as well. You got to be multifaceted, man. Got to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
So is that it?
Looks like that was the full list, man. Yeah, looks like it, bro. Yes, indeed.
So hold on. Who did we say then?
In terms of Stan,
yeah,
the only guys we said are Stan are we said Banner, Stan, Barry, Dangerfield. I think we said Sutton and Stan.
We split on Matt Feiler. I said yeah, you said no.
And then did we split on Hawkins as well or no?
I said no. I don't think he's coming back.
Okay, cool. So we did. All right, so we're good.
And then Dobbs, yeah, I would lean for everything that you said. Okay. I don't know if he's going to be on the roster at the end of the day, though.
Right, but in terms of him just returning, I definitely think that he returns. So yeah, I like it.
Can I make 2 more predictions? These are
what you got for us, baby?
Non-Steeler signing. We signed Jerron Brown and we signed Le'Veon Bell. Those are everybody we said here comes back with the Steelers in addition with those 2 moves, and we're going to be looking nice next year.
All right, it'll be interesting, man. I like I said, for me, I would love the John Brown signing, the L. Bill signing. I think I'm kind of indifferent on it because I think that if you're not drafting one of the top 3 running backs, Najee, Travis Etienne, or Javonte Williams, I think the running game is going to still look similar to what it was a year ago. That's even if they were to bring back Le'Veon. I just think that those 3 guys give me a lot more than L. Bill at this stage. So that's kind of how I feel about that. But, man, the John Brown, I would love the John Brown now. Ooh, I would love the John Brown.
Do you have any surprise outside prediction? So if you say John Brown, is there another one?
Not off the top.
Jesse James return?
I don't think that's a surprise, though. I look at Jesse
you think that's
the same
a given?
As BJ. I do. I think
makes sense.
Now, the only thing that I can see in terms of why Jesse wouldn't come back is, remember, he made the Kardashian comments, right? About how it was just, it was always drama. And he wanted to leave because he didn't want to deal with the drama. That could be a reason why he doesn't come back because it's the Steelers. It's always going to be drama. It is what it is. I mean, when you covered by that much media, it happens. Everything is a story. So he could still not want to deal with that. And if that's the case, then I don't think he comes back. But if he doesn't mind it and he's had a change of heart on that element of it, then yeah, I think he comes back because it makes sense. We need tight ends. He needs a market. He's familiar with us. We're familiar with him. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Ebron would be fine.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't have to worry about it in the draft or anything. Because, yeah, you're right. We need a tight end. I don't know who the hell we're going to sign.
Exactly, right? And then the Patriots, they just got Jonnu Smith out of from the Titans. They just signed him to a multi-year deal. Yeah, man. So you
He's
see it, man.
Good.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So it's gonna
be have some confidence in Cam then, I guess. That was a decent deal, man. $14 million. I wasn't expecting that.
It was way better than the last go around.
Him and Belichick have a connection, man.
Hey,
they love each other. I mean, Belichick talks really highly of Cam. He's never talked about Brady like that. Never.
And you can see how he gets Belichick to like loosen up and joke around. I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy.
Cam just only speaks highly of Belichick. He's like, oh man, he'd be so much fun at the bar. He's awesome. People don't understand him.
Nuts, man.
I've never heard of this back and forth between Belichick and Brady.
It's like a love affair. I'm like, what? When did this happen? How?
Cam never did anything for you that Brady did.
Right. Like you know how much Cam hasn't brought you nowhere near the level of success. If anything, he's brought you heartbreak. He's brought you more. Oh, well, Brady did it next year, and then look at what you guys did. Like that's what Cam brought you. Like, dang.
When did Belichick ever talk about Brady being the first guy in, last one out?
Right, and we all know Brady's the hardest worker. We all know this. But this is like, dang, he on this Cam train, man.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, but I will say this, and I said this a year ago. I want to see Cam be successful up there, man. Like, I hate the fact that it has to be New England because I feel like if he's successful, they're going to asterisk it a little bit and put it because of the Belichick and the Patriot way. But I want to see Cam bounce back. I feel like the league is more fun when Cam is playing well. We talked about early on in the season last year. We were enjoying seeing Cam do well, even though the Patriots was like, oh, I hate it's the Patriots, but it was like
made games interesting. Like that Patriots Seahawks game was incredible. Man.
Yes, like it's more fun when he's playing at a high level. So I'm hoping that, now that he has another year under his belt of being healthy, that he can continue to play at a high level going forward, man.
That's interesting, though. I don't know if they would asterisk it, though, because of his first season with the Patriots being bad.
Yeah. I hope so, man. I hope so. But man, when people get to debating, they will nitpick, and that's going to be one of the things they're going to nitpick, without a doubt.
Is that it? Is that all we got?
I think so, man. Shoot, we talked our UFC, talked our NHL, went through our free agents. Couple of the hot take free agent ones as well. So yeah, I like it, man. Now we get to just sit back, relax, and enjoy this roller coaster of 48 hours before free agency officially begins.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah, man. So shoot.
Yeah, I guess
it was a blast, man. Yes, indeed, man. It was definitely a blast. Shout out to everybody that's been rocking with us on the journey. Shout out to everybody that's been tuning in. And until next time, baby.
Peace.